The next item I'm disconnecting is the starter. I'll start with removing the shielding to get to the starter solenoid to remove some cables. I'll also remove this ground cable that's connected to one of the bolts that's holding the shielding on. I'll disconnect this wire from the starter, and I will disconnect this bracket from the transmission. It's holding one of the starter cables. I removed all the connections that I noted earlier for the battery. The ground cable, the connections to the solenoid, and the main battery cable, and the connection to the bottom of the starter, and then this is the connection that was connected to the transmission, or rather the back bracket that was connected to the transmission. So, and while I was at it, I went ahead and removed the starter. The last item I'm disconnecting while I have the car in the air is the drive shaft. But I think I'm also going to drain the power steering fluid while I'm down here and take a closer look at this fitting. This, if you might be able to tell that this fitting has been inserted cross thread. So I want to remove or disconnect that fitting, clean up the threads on the inside of this ram, and see if I can get that to stop leaking. I disconnected the drive shaft and I wrapped some tape around the bearing caps to make sure they don't come off. And now I am disconnecting this cross-threaded fitting to let the power steering fluid drain. I hope it'll drain out through this fitting. We'll see. Yeah, it's already starting to drip, so I think it'll be an easy way to drain the power steering fluid. So maybe I was wrong about that fitting being cross-threaded. Perhaps it was just the angle that it goes into that fitting. I'll look at it closer after it finishes draining. I spoke too soon earlier. There are a couple more things I can do under the car before I start working with the car on the ground. I can remove the fuel line to the fuel pump. And I forgot about this. Someone had installed diamond plates, skid plates, and they attached it to this cross member. The cross member, when I have the engine connected to the engine hoist and I'm almost ready to pull it out, I need to disconnect the transmission here at the cross member and move the cross member out of the way. And of course, to do that, the diamond plate needs to come off. I removed the fuel line from the fuel pump. Also, I took a closer look at this fitting for the power steering ram, and it turns out it's not stripped and it wasn't cross-threaded. It's just the way the end of this ram is beveled. It looked like it might have been cross-threaded. So, but it's fine. I also removed the diamond plate that was connected to the cross member, and it looks like There was something originally here, some sort of skid plate or plastic that was covering the bottom of the floor pan. So not sure why they replaced it with the diamond plate, but you know, the floor pans look fine. On the driver's side, looks like there might have been some water remaining on the underside, because this bracket that looks to be original, and this is definitely original, holding the sound deadening and other material to the bottom of the floor pan. But you know, they're rusted. Both of these are rusted. On the passenger side, there's so much oil built up on it they didn't rust. But on the driver's side, no oil built up and they rusted. Just these little brackets. But there doesn't appear to be any damage.